Hello, we're back.
Welcome to part 2 of the
Yes.
first Santa convention
Convention?
in the United States.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you. And welcome to
Behind the scenes with Santa and Mrs. Claus.
Yes, and we're happy to have you back again. So we're gonna, first of all, before you brought up a good thing during our break, you said we should absolutely talk about where Branson is, what Branson is, for those, especially our international listeners
Yes.
and followers.
Yeah.
You might go, "What's a Branson?"
That's
You know, so it's a lovely resort area.
Yes, it is. Uh-huh.
And it's right in the middle of the country in the
Yep.
Ozark Mountains.
Uh-huh. In
you know,
Missouri.
In Missouri, yeah, and which is in the center of the U.S.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, they have a lot of theaters and venues that are fun to.
It's kind of like, it's very toned down, but it's kind of like a Las Vegas. It's got a lot of shows, restaurants, dinner
No
things.
gambling, though.
No gambling, but the shows and all like that. So it's kind of like
Shopping.
that. Shopping. It's got a lot of lovely shopping.
Unique shop. We spent some money there.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
In fact,
Yes.
the shirt you have on,
I got it.
that's
Branson.
right, that came from
I
Branson.
did. Yes.
And we've
yes.
never seen it again or anything
Nope.
like it.
I've
It's
I've
absolutely
looked.
gorgeous.
I have looked, but I've never, seen it again.
This is my favorite shirt. I absolutely love it.
Yes. So as a nod back
You ought
to
to see
them.
the back. Oh my God.
Yeah, so as a nod back to that, I wanted to wear this for these episodes, but yeah, it's
And,
it's a
and
very,
by the way, just as an aside, I'm wearing my Santa shirt, which has all the St. Nicholases on it, in honor of all the Santas
All the
that
Santas
came to
that we saw,
Branson.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
and that we met and became friends with.
yeah,
So
and it's a very family oriented place.
very family.
So the other kind of fun thing again as being in Branson is there were so many families. So many, and of course they didn't know anything about this. They were surprised and shocked, and whether they had little ones with them or not. So that's a little bit about what Branson
is.
Yeah.
And again, Tim was doing some marketing work with them and
Yes.
was actually
Oh,
their
that's right, he was.
spokesperson.
Yes, he was.
So-
yeah,
and
that's
so-
how he. Yes, he. That's
So
I'd
he had
forgotten
made
that.
a lot of contacts in
Yeah.
Branson, which opened the door for us to do all this.
That's right. Yeah.
And it was, again, through Tim Conahan's efforts
Yes. Yeah.
that this was such a success. But anyway, we got to tell you what happened, during the convention, and how that was the first time that we had so much media following us around, and just an incredible. When we were done with the parade alone,
Yeah.
we had just a ton of people from newspapers, magazines, TV, radio.
Yeah, we
I mean, they were all, and it's funny, they looked like kids in a candy store. They were racing around talking to all the different Santas going, "Why are you here? Why are you here? Why are you here?"
well, and I think again, going back to Joe's marketing efforts, most of that really was done through
The press releases.
the press releases.
Yeah. And contacts,
and
personal
he-
contact. Yeah.
Just like anything else, you really don't know who's going to show up, if they're going to show up. We didn't know if just the local media would come and nobody else. So that was pretty amazing.
And just to give you an idea how big it was, we were on the front page
Yeah.
of USA Today.
Yes.
And they did a whole thing on the Santa
yes, they
convention,
did.
which was just
Amazing.
incredible.
Yeah,
I mean,
it really was.
that. Remember that we walked into the airport and there
we
we
were.
We're like,
yeah. How many of these can we buy?
yeah. How many you got? But even then, and again, after the parade, I was approached by Disney surfers, and they did a whole thing on me while at the parade. And then Nickelodeon stepped up and did a thing on me so right there, all of a sudden I find myself on the Disney Channel and Nickelodeon, which was just huge for me at the time. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, something that we didn't expect.
And then, of course, the interviews. I mean,
just
they were following me around like a puppy dog. And, I
yes.
mean, every local channel, a lot of the network affiliates were following me around. Had some, in fact, even after we were done with Branson and we were heading back
to the airport,
I got a phone call from a radio station in Canada.
Yeah.
It was Quebec, wasn't it? I think it was Quebec.
It was Quebec.
Quebec, Canada. And they wanted to do a live interview on the radio.
Yeah.
Which we set up and did as we were driving back. I said, sure, we got an hour and a half to kill to get to the airport. So, and we even did that. So we were on radio, we were on TV, we were in magazines, we were, just incredible. But that was the first time anybody had seen that many Santas.
Yeah, it was such an unusual experience, which of course is why it became so huge, and I know it was on TV all over the nation, excerpts of the parade and interviews and different things.
And we allowed some of the media in to take shots of like the seminars and stuff we were doing.
And did Nickelodeon do a little bit of that?
Oh, cool. Yeah. It wasn't just me.
So
they went around and
it was really cool. I mean, the whole aspect of it was just unbelievable. And we certainly didn't expect that kind of media, and of course Tim was thrilled that it had gotten nationwide coverage.
So
that was really and good for him, a feather in his cap, because that was a great thing.
Well, he worked awfully hard to get everything
he worked very hard
done, and boy, I'll tell you. And if you're not familiar with Santa Tim Conahan, one of the things we'll tell you is he is best known as the Hollywood Santa.
Yes.
Because he's done the Hollywood Parade for years.
For many years. Yeah.
So, and his closet, boy, I could only dream to have his closet someday. Or one like it. I mean, but he was doing this for a number of years well before me.
Yeah.
And as Mary mentioned, he does a Santa school and trains Santas all across the U.S.
Yes.
I mean, he sets up these seminar two day.
I think it was a two-day training and seminar and he really it's nice because he goes to different cities where the local Santas can come and learn how to be Santa. And so he
talks about everything from basic hygiene to getting in touch with these major agencies.
How to secure business, what you should do, creating business cards. I mean, everything. He really went A to Z, and that was of course why he had such a good contact base for the convention.
Yes. And we took his class.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
Yes. But he's an amazing individual, and again, our hats off to him for what he did on this. So, hey, let's take a quick break.
Okay.
Because then we'll talk some more about what else took place during that convention.
Okay.
And what stemmed from it, because there's something very important that actually started with that convention.
Yeah.
So we'll be right back to tell you what it was. Autographed and dedicated copies of books, custom-made clothing, one-of-a-kind items you'll not find anywhere else, all at my Etsy store, Santa's Magic Chest, where every day is Christmas. Ho, 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 ho.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you for paying attention to that, and please take advantage of that. This is how we make our money. So
Yeah.
please help us out so we can continue doing this. So anyway, give you a bottom line of what took place after the convention,
Yes.
because it made a huge difference
did.
throughout the Santa community. This was the first time that all the Santas, not just us, but all the Santas from the various states across
Yeah.
the country could get together and hear about what all is going on and what different
Right.
things are happening. And as Mary said, we made a lot of friends, and we got
did.
to know a great many Santas from all over the country.
Yeah, we really did.
And we wound up going up, and I went up to Minnesota
Yes.
to visit Santa Carlucci. We've
Yeah.
gone, to North Carolina, to Ohio. So many states, more than we can mention. That's
Yeah.
how we got in touch with some of the reindeer breeders, too.
Yes. Yes.
Because they actually came to later conventions and started educating us on reindeer.
Yeah.
So we got to learn.
And funny
awful lot.
again, I mean, it's amazing, but there are some characteristics of reindeer that a lot of Santas and we also did not know. So again, it's education, and it was great to eventually hear about that too.
But what really was the biggest thing I think that came out of Branson was the fact that Santas started to realize that they had other people they could talk to
Yes.
and communicate with and pick their brains and
Yeah.
learn from. So groups started forming
Yes.
in all the various states. For instance, in North Carolina, there's the longleaf pine Santas. In Ohio, there's the Buckeye
Buckeyes.
Santas.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
And I think a lot of that was taken from that existed already in California, was the group that we had mentioned earlier about the luncheons we had gone to, and that was a California group.
right.
So, people heard about that and said, oh, you have a group. Well, then let's, we can do that.
And national groups actually formed out of
it
that
did.
as well,
Yeah. Yes.
which helped further the state groups
Yes.
because it kind of got everybody out there and talking to each other. And, that's when some of the bigger schools that exist now really started to form.
Yes. Yes.
So, like the one in Colorado and the one in New York. But, and then the agencies had a much bigger pot to draw from.
Yes, they did.
Because Santa started to appear
Right.
on their radar, which they hadn't been able to before.
No.
So it was quite a major change to the entire industry.
Yes, it was. It was.
From all the sides of it.
Yes.
I mean, from
Yes.
from the agencies on down to the individual Santas. And, again, the schools that have come from that, there are several Santa schools now besides Tim's
Right.
that train Santas, which is really, that is an industry unto itself.
Yes.
And you got to know what you're doing. Otherwise, you can cause some bad experiences as
Right.
a Santa Claus if you're not properly
That's
prepared
true.
and
That's
trained.
true. I mean, not intentionally, but sometimes, ignorance is not always your friend. And I think the other thing is it did for us. So many Santas went and found out, oh, you can do this, you can do that, and whether they wanted to stay in their hometown and just be a hometown Santa and do things, even that was opened up
Or
to
travel
different things.
nationally.
Or travel and
In
internationally.
fact, internationally,
Yes.
China is big
Yes.
on Santa Claus.
Yes. Yes.
And it's amazing. Some of the, I won't say it here, but some of the contracts we've heard about where they bring a Santa from the U.S. to China and how they treat them and what they pay them and that kind of thing is just
Huge.
okay. That's
It is
that'll
huge. Yes.
that'll turn your head.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So it really was a huge
I can't believe some of those.
Yeah, I mean, and really, the Santa industry was so apart before, in little spots
Yeah.
all over the place with really no
Very
cohesiveness.
fractured.
Yeah, and no cohesiveness. And now all of a sudden, you had an opportunity to stay in touch with Santas, even just as a friend, or other things of just going, well, how did you do this, or boy, you got that gig. How did you get that gig? And so exchanging information.
How can I get that
Yeah,
gig?
well, yeah. So it was fun. I mean, it really.
That was, yeah. And that's where you really learned how diversified Santa
Oh my
could
gosh,
be.
yeah.
I mean, just amazing. And some strictly did it on a nonprofit basis.
Yes.
Some strictly did it as a profit
basis. Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Well, there's a nice middle of the road there that works.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
But again, it did open a lot of people's eyes as to the possibilities and what you could do.
And I think
I'll you should do.
Interject one thing from Mrs. Claus. There was a lot of women there that portrayed Mrs. Claus, that accompanied their husbands. At that particular convention, there was nothing for Mrs. Claus. But I think, again, that opened up the door for education and functions and different things that for Mrs. Claus, because we also were interested in what Santa was doing. And a lot of wives did make appearances with their husbands.
No.
So, we really wanted to learn as well. And from that, then there was other chances and courses and stuff for Mrs. Claus to get involved with.
And that started to come out of that
It really
as well.
did, yeah.
Because once we saw how many Mrs.
And there was a
Clauses
lot.
wanted to be out there.
Yeah, and there was a lot of women.
Yeah.
I mean, there was certainly the largest group was certainly Santa, but at the same token, there was quite a few women there. I mean, I think there was at least 150 or more women, and most of them were portrayed Mrs. Claus.
Yep.
So yeah.
And most of them with either their Santas or their husbands or, and there were several Mrs. Clauses that just like to do Mrs. Claus by themselves.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Yeah,
even that, it's amazing. You can hire Mrs. Claus by yourself. And a lot of women do that.
And I think that's, again, there's a lot more women that do it now than ever used to.
Yeah. And again, this all came out of Branson. And
exactly. Yeah.
Tim Conahan did. And,
absolutely.
Just the fabulous job he did. And Tim, God bless you. Hats off to you.
Absolutely.
And thank you for that experience for us personally, and for all the Santas professionally. I mean, that really did make a difference.
We really had the time of our lives.
We did.
It was fun to talk with the Santas, to go to the classes, all the other things that we got to go to, the shows and everything. It was
that was my first parade.
Yes, that was your first parade.
That was my first.
Literally walking in that parade.
Which we're going to have a whole episode just on parades
that is true.
Very soon.
Yeah, but that was true.
But that was.
Yes.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's right.
Boy, that's hard to believe.
Yes, that was your very first parade. and so, yeah.
But anyway. Well, we hope you enjoyed this. I mean, this was one of those fun things, and we'd be happy to talk more about it if you have questions or if you want to learn about some of the groups that are out there. Just feel free to email us, and we'll try and set you on to the right bunch of guys or gals to get you started. Or if you just want to learn some more about it, look it up on the internet and see.
Yeah,
because there's been several conventions after that.
That's
we'll
right.
talk about those later.
We'll talk about those but yes, we hope you enjoyed it, because it was a very memorable experience for us. So, and I just want to interject too. Remember, our podcasts are the 10th and the 24th of every month.
Yep, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks so much for joining us.
Bye-bye.